I can't wait to introduce today's guest. She's someone who has helped me enormously on my own ADHD journey. Hers was one of the first podcasts I found when I started going down that rabbit hole. Um, the very fantabulous Tracy Otsuka, host of the ADHD for Smart Ass Women podcast and author of the book ADHD for Smart Ass Women. And her podcast is really working with the brilliance um, that is often overlooked with ADHD. So she's very bold, very dynamic, former lawyer, and really confident, um, honest about the challenges, honest about the disabling aspects, but really it's probably one of the most strengths-based neuro-affirming approaches I've heard. And I just love her guests. She is wanting to draw awareness to the 43% of ADHDers with excellent mental health. So I hope you enjoy our interview. I'm really looking forward to talking to her. And I hope that without any kind of toxic positivity, without any negating of the struggles, you two will be able to own your challenges, know that you deserve support for your challenges, and make space for your brilliance. Let me know what you think. Welcome to episode 85 of the Feel Better Everyday podcast. Every Tuesday, I share new episodes helping trauma survivors, ADHDers, and AuDHDers take better care of yourself, create a life you don't need to retreat from, and help build a world in which everyone feels safe, welcome, and loved, able to thrive. So, literally working with your nervous system, your energy, and it's a very holistic approach. You can subscribe if you haven't already, and you're very welcome to share. I do a lot of free content because I know not everyone can afford one-to-one work. I've got another group event coming up, and there's always the Soul to Soul Circle. But if you check out selfcarecoaching.net, there's information about the book, more about the podcast, loads of free resources around different areas and conditions. And you can also visit the feelbettereverydaypodcast.com. I hope you enjoy today's episode and thank you for listening and watching, whatever you're choosing to do. So, welcome, Tracy Otsuka. I can't believe I'm talking to you because you were such a huge influence on me befriending my own ADHD and now I understand AuDHD brain. This is the first time we've spoken, like we've just had a brief chat now, but I've listened to so many of your episodes, your book, and I recommend it to so many people. I mentioned it in the Irish Journal of Counselling and Psychotherapy, an article I did about late diagnosis. And I love your strengths-based approach. I love that you don't gloss over the challenges, like you're human, we're all human, but the even the idea that is it 43% of ADHDers experience good mental health, and the
Yeah.
kind of, I mean, we hear
No,
so
no,
many
not good. Not good.
excellent.
Excellent mental health.
I
And no
love
one
it.
ever talks about that. Why have I never heard or read about this other than that one article?
Yeah,
Actually, there's a few articles on that one study.
yeah, I absolutely love it. So I'm so grateful for your work. Where can people find you, and what are you working on at the moment?
Probably the easiest place that they can find me is on our brand new app called
Wonderful,
AOK Mind. And you can find it in the App Store or Google Play.
wonderful.
And there's
So I,
tons of free resources there. So a lot
yeah,
of the trainings that I've done over the
yeah.
years are in there.
And you also you have your patented program. Do you want to mention that?
I
Or
do.
yeah,
I do have my six-step patented program. We call it Your ADHD Brain is A-OK. I think my camera's a little crooked. And so I don't believe that ADHD is a productivity problem. I believe it is an identity problem. We've spent our entire life trying to be who they want us to be
yeah,
at the expense of figuring out who we really are. And so The reason why this is so important is if you can build that foundation of what is it exactly that you value, what's truly important to you, what are the strengths that are just natural born, you can't help but practice them, you're practicing them now. Um, what are the talents that you've been built skills around and turned into superpowers? What of the many passions, because that is one of our challenges. We have
Yes.
sparkly, syndrome where we try this, we try that, we try a little bit of this, then we go down here and try more of that. And
Yeah.
so it can make us feel like we're all over the place.
Yeah.
Um, and then, of course, our purpose. So if you can figure out what that sweet spot is, that
Yeah.
is your foundation, and do work in that sweet spot, you will have none, if not
Yeah.
very, very few, of the executive function challenges that you have in most other areas.
Yeah, wonderful. And if you were to think, because I know you're a great proponent of the things that you talk about, exercise and the things we can control, even when they might be more challenging, what would be your ideal self-care practices, both in terms of like basic self-care, that uppercase S, the like highest, wisest, truest part in these spiritual practices, and also collective care? You've mentioned your group, but what would be your ideal?
So my ideal, and I try my, there's certain things that are non-negotiables, and
Yeah.
the number one for me is exercise. Unfortunately, and I know I have developed this reputation, I'm not sure how, that I am against medication. I am not against medication at all. Are
Yeah.
you kidding me? If I could use medication for the things that are difficult for me to get done, like
Hmm.
anything to do with numbers or frankly memorizing anything, I would use medication in a heartbeat. It
Yeah.
does not work for me, however.
Yeah.
And so when things don't work for you, you have to develop other workarounds. And so I'm so appreciative that medication didn't work for me, because if it did, I may not have gone out and developed the other workarounds. So what we know, number one, my number one strategy is okay, 20 minutes
Hmm.
of exercise at 70% of your high heart rate, studies
Hmm.
have been done about this,
Yeah.
is as effective as a course of Adderall and Prozac. So even if you are taking medication,
Yeah.
it is going to make your medication work better.
Hmm.
And there are no side effects. So I work out every morning. I used to work
Hmm.
out in the evenings. I've
Yeah.
always worked out. There was something that my brain just knew
Yeah.
I felt better.
Yeah.
Um, so I've always worked out, but I used to work out in the evening.
Yeah.
And when I discovered that I had ADHD, I realized, okay, I need to change this up, because I feel like my brain is like an airplane on a
Yeah.
runway, and I need to get it off the runway. And what gets it off the runway first thing in the morning is dopamine.
Yeah.
That's, what's going on with our brains. We don't know, is it we don't make enough of it, or is it
Hmm.
that we process it differently? They don't know for 100%
Yeah.
certainty what it is. And so I know I've got to get that dopamine up in the morning, and if I can do that, everything is better throughout the day. So the first thing I do is I literally get up, like, at this point, it was hard initially, but at this point, I have trained my brain, neuroplasticity,
Yeah.
to the point that I get up in the morning and I'm like a robot. I
Hmm.
never have a thought in my head, I don't want to do this. It's cold. It's just so odd, but I think it's because I know this is my medication. And if I
Absolutely.
don't do it, I'm going to feel bad.
Yeah.
So I would say it's that, and then getting it out in nature.
Yeah.
So I will do, we have two dogs, um, Teddy and Mo, and I will take a walk with my husband. And then if I get up early enough, I really like to do some sort of reading in the morning
Yeah.
rather than picking up my phone and scrolling,
Yeah.
which is fast dopamine, which
Hmm.
15 minutes later makes us crash. So it
Hmm.
doesn't help us, versus slow dopamine, like reading a book where it's a little hard to get into it, but hyperfocus. Once we're interested, we're locked in, and then we can't put it down.
Mm.
I'm not a fiction reader at all, but a friend of mine, um, who I adore, wrote a fiction book. And so I thought, I'm a crappy friend if I don't read this book. I did not want to read this book. I had
Yeah.
no interest. And I picked it up at 10:30 on Saturday morning, hyperfocus.
Uh-huh.
I finished it at 3:30 in the morning. So
Brilliant.
but it was because it was so well written and it was
Yeah.
so interesting. The Covert Buccaneer, by the way.
I was
And
going to
I don't,
say, do you want to plug the book and the
yeah,
author?
it's so good. I wish I had it sitting here, but I don't. It's called The Covert Buccaneer. And it's kind of this dual timeline where you're
Yeah.
talking about the present tense,
Yeah.
which is really kind of, it's a story about her life. She's a lawyer that fought for caregiver rights.
Uh-huh.
And then it also has, she found this manuscript from her great grandmother. No, was it her great great grandmother? Um, and who was a suffragist. Is that
Mm-hmm.
how you say it? In the late 1800s, early 1900s. And so, we do things like that, right? Where when we pop in, it might be hard to start, but
Yeah.
then we pop into hyperfocus. And granted, I spent the whole day doing that. I never, ever, ever do something like that, not for fiction. I mean, not for nonfiction and certainly not for fiction. But there was something about, I was like proud of myself. I was like, wait a minute, I can do this.
Yeah.
So again, it's about interest, right? We have ADHD brain is a brain of interest. When we find something that is interesting to us, even if in our mind we're like, I don't do fiction, because the last two fiction books,
Yeah.
the last one was Anna Karenina. It took
Yeah.
me 8 months to finish it because I had
That
to
takes most people a long
starting over, because I'd forget what I had read and I was just
Yeah.
honest to God bored.
Yeah.
So those are the three things that in
Yeah.
an ideal day, that is how I start my morning out. The first two are non-negotiables. The third one, it's when I can get up early enough. We have daylight savings
Yeah.
time flipped back. So I have
Uh-huh.
an extra hour. So it's been a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But the downside to that is I can never get myself together before 9:30 in the morning
Yeah.
because and I get up early, but it's just all of these things that I need to do to make sure that when I show up for someone like you,
Mhm.
my brain is working,
Yeah.
maybe not as best as it can, but a lot better than if I didn't do it.
Yeah. And if what about like kind of later in the day or like once a week? Like, is there anything else that you would love to fit in?
I love to garden. Again,
Okay.
that's nature. And I don't know what it is about gardening, but that it is one of the few things that I can do.
Yeah.
And I'm not thinking about other things. I don't know why. I'm just not. I'm just in it. It's, the somatic kind of,
Yeah.
I'm all about somatic therapies.
Yeah.
And when I'm struggling,
Yeah.
I would say my number one thing is tapping.
Yeah. I do. Yeah. It's fantastic. So, what if you could only do this feels evil because I depend on many myself and it's like take any of them away. Like I start with like kind of I'm not going to list them all I've done in other episodes, but all the things I've trained in, they're all essential to me. They were all to save my life before I knew I had ADHD.
Yeah.
If I were to be evil and say like one thing, what would that be?
The one thing out of all the things that I've
Yeah,
mentioned,
yeah,
the other thing I need to mention because I was such a sleep denier. I
yeah,
don't need sleep. I literally wake up, most people, if they
yeah,
wake up at 5:30 in the morning and they're going to
yeah,
get up at 6,
yeah,
they're they're thinking, "Oh, I want more time."
yeah,
I am literally I don't want to go to bed
uh-huh,
and I don't I so if I wake up and I wake up early, I am the kind of person who it's like, oh, please don't make it too late. I mean, don't make it too early because then
yeah,
I'm gonna have to go back to bed again.
yeah,
And I don't need sleep. So I thought I didn't need sleep, right? And then I heard that the quality and quantity of your REM sleep is directly proportional to your lifespan.
yeah,
And once I heard that, I was like, oh crap, you better
yeah,
start paying attention to this, especially, as we're aging, as we're
yeah,
getting older. So I would say sleep is so important. Now, I'm still not perfect, but
yeah.
I am so much better than, 4 or 5 hours a night, which I was doing for
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. And what
Okay.
helps, because I know it's really hard, like sleep is one of my specialisms. I used to be an insomniac as a small child, but I
Uh,
also know with the hyperfocus, I can get obsessed with like reorganizing my closet in the middle of the night
oh,
or
yeah.
working until 3 in the morning, just because I love what I do, but also a lot of different angles to what I do. what helps you. I have like reminders on my phone, like
Yeah.
time to stop work, Evie cat question mark, because I used the rescue cats to illustrate polyvagal theory. And it's like I have to do it as a question mark to not have the pathological demand avoidance.
Yep.
And like time for bed, Evie cat at 11. And like if I can, and then I might read, oh, like do lots of things, but the friendlier I can make it. But there's still that like teenage and toddler part of me, like, no, I want to do all the things.
Revenge, bedtime
Yeah,
procrastination, right?
yeah, yeah.
Totally.
What
Um,
helps you?
a couple things. I it's about removing the resistance, right? And so we know for our ADHD brains, if we can make something fun, challenging, social, or urgent, we can get it done. Let's scrap urgent
Yeah.
because that does not help our nervous system at all.
No,
Right?
absolutely. Yeah.
One of the things that I just hate doing, and it prevents me from going back to the bedroom, is taking off my makeup
Uh-huh.
and washing my face and brushing my teeth, flossing, and
Yeah.
I just hate all of that.
Yeah.
So what I find is if I can do it throughout the night, it's
Yeah.
much easier for me to go to bed. So I have, toothbrush,
Yeah.
those wipe things. I have,
Yeah.
cleanser in our guest bathroom because
Yeah.
that's usually the bathroom that I'll use, if I'm sitting on the couch and I'm reading or if I'm watching a program or whatever. And so whatever you can do to remove the resistance. So I'll grab one of those wipes, I'll bring it into the family room, and I'll be getting rid of, the first coat
Yeah.
while I'm sitting there, just anything to make it easier. And then the other thing I did for Attitude Magazine, I did a webinar for them on revenge bedtime procrastination. And the
Wonderful.
first thing, when I heard about how important our sleep is, the
Yeah.
first thing I did is I thought, okay, how can I make it fun?
Yeah.
And so I have an Alexa. Do they have those in Ireland? They must.
Alexa. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mine will go off. Um, and so
Oh,
what I,
sorry, I don't. I realized why you were spelling
but
it
you know
out.
what it is,
I
right?
know. Yeah, you're trying to not activate it by saying it.
Right, right, because it's a nosy little thing.
Yeah.
And so what I initially did was I thought, okay, Cinderella, you know how she has to
Yeah.
get home before midnight?
Hmm.
Otherwise, she'll turn into I guess the carriage will turn into a pumpkin.
Punk. Yeah.
So I played a game with myself and I set up my Alexa to play church bells. And
Oh,
so
wow.
10 minutes before so I am not, and if I can get to bed by midnight, that's
Yeah.
good for me.
Yeah.
So at 11:50, I set
Yeah.
off the church bells, and
Yeah.
that was the cue to get up off my seat and to start, closing windows, locking things. But I had to be out by,
Yeah.
by 12 o'clock when the clock struck midnight. And I would find myself running around the house, like laughing at myself. But it's kind of what you were saying,
I
right? You
love
have to
it.
make it fun.
Yes. Yeah.
And I only had to do it maybe 3 times. And it
Yeah.
kind of got in my brain that, okay,
Yeah.
we're going to be in bed by midnight. And
I love
sometimes
it.
I get bad and I start slacking, but then I remember, okay, no, this is what serves you. And you really have to pay attention, right? Because we forget how we feel. So when I go to bed late, how do I feel in the morning?
Yeah.
Usually I'm not able to do any reading. I'm running through my workout.
Yeah.
I'm running through the walk with the dogs. And so things just feel, again, it's all, and you know this, if
Yeah.
anyone knows this,
Mhm.
it's all about nervous system
Yeah.
regulation, right?
Yeah.
So if you can start your day out calm
Hmm.
and feeling in control, it's always going to work better than if you're running through everything, just trying to tick it off of a box.
Yeah. I love it. And what advice do you have for younger you? What do you wish you'd known earlier?
What advice do I have for younger me? Well, I wish I knew I had ADHD.
Yeah.
Um, Couple things. I wish I knew I had ADHD. I wish I knew that the ADHD brain was a brain of interest. And so
Uh-huh.
maybe that's why I shouldn't have started studying dentistry in
Oh,
college.
wow. So you went from dentistry to law and then this.
Yeah, because I didn't know. So, I have a
Yeah.
tiger mom and a tiger dad. My
Uh-huh.
father's Japanese American and my mother's German.
Uh-huh.
And, we were required to get up every morning at 6 a.m. to play an hour of our instrument. And if we
Yeah.
didn't, classical instrument, of course,
Yeah.
I hated it. I just absolutely hated it. But I was raised. Wait, what was the question you just asked me?
What you wish younger you had known, like what advice you'd have, or
Oh, okay. So
yeah,
the instrument is an example of,
yeah,
okay, that's what my parents wanted for me. That is
yeah,
so not what I wanted for me, but I didn't know what I wanted, you
yeah,
know? Given the choice today, I would have said, okay, you want me to do something with music, give me
yeah,
voice lessons,
yes,
because that I would enjoy.
yeah,
So
yeah,
the importance of positive emotion.
yeah,
When things feel good, meaning
uh,
you're around people and you feel good, you're doing something and you feel good, that is positive emotion. And we all have
mm,
this rudder inside of ourselves, but
yeah,
especially for those of us with ADHD, right?
yeah,
We need to feel good in order to do good.
yeah,
And when we feel negative emotion, that is a sign that there's something wrong with your environment, there's something wrong with what you're doing. And again, that is when our executive function challenges become so much.
yeah,
And you know this better than anyone. If you also have trauma,
uh-huh,
the trauma symptoms mirror
mm,
ADHD
yeah,
symptoms. So your executive functions can be even more offline.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we really need to pay attention to what are the things that we can do to regulate our nervous system.
mm,
Other thing is you are your own best expert. So I
yeah,
don't care what doctor tells you to do what. If you don't pay attention to how you feel, like
mm,
they know the medications they can prescribe, but
yeah,
they do not have as much knowledge. They don't have any knowledge about how you really feel.
yeah,
It's only what you tell them. And so what I discovered is I had tried so many different medications because
mm.
one time medication worked. And
And you're then chasing it, aren't you? Because it
oh
feels
my
like you're
gosh,
chasing at life, and it's
because
amazing.
when it works, you're
Yeah,
just like, oh my gosh, is this how my brain could function
yeah,
every day? I could literally never forget anything. I can memorize
yeah,
things. And so, the ADHD brain and hyperfocus. So I was going to try everything.
mm,
And it took almost a year.
mm,
And for me to one day say, you know what? You really feel like crap. I'm totally anxious. I'm
mm,
taking medication, stimulant medication.
mm,
I'm taking anxiety medication to combat all the anxiety coming from the stimulant medication.
yeah,
I mean, it was just one thing after another that was being added. And
yeah,
it wasn't until I said, okay, I feel like crap.
mm-hmm,
I remembered that I actually felt better before that I
mm,
thought, I'm going to get off of all of this and then see how do I feel. And I realized that
yeah,
even the anxiety, I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. I
mm-hmm,
definitely have anxiety. I don't think I've ever met someone with ADHD who
yeah,
doesn't. It's just
yeah,
part of how our brain works, right? It's
yeah,
moving all the time. But um, what was I just going to say? What was causing so much anxiety for me and requiring anxiety medication
yeah,
was the other medication that I
yeah,
was on. So it was medication induced,
yeah,
but the doctors didn't seem to, I don't know. It's just, whatever you're struggling with, well, here's another medication for it. And
yeah,
I'm not saying all doctors, I'm saying
yeah,
the doctor that I was working with, the doctors that I was
yeah.
working with. I
I
tried a couple.
find it a real, like, I have endometriosis. I'm not anymore, I'm postmenopausal, but I had endometriosis, and
Yeah.
surgery and hospital prescribed painkillers didn't work. So I started all the training. It kind of led to everything because here's Maeve, um, but one
Hey.
of the rescues. But when you say about interest, like I'm literally now showing cat slides to illustrate polyvagal theory, and
Yeah.
I'm 50. I go with what I love. I've created a business that I love, and I'm being paid to share cat slides to explain things and
Yeah.
to help people. And I think, like, I've got the piano behind me. If it's not too messy, I got it off Free Cycle, but I was
Yeah.
forced into, I'm Indian Irish, and I was forced into music lessons as a kid, violin and piano,
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's heard me playing the piano by ear. There
Mm.
was a piano in the house we moved into, and I loved just playing by ear. They thought they were doing a nice thing for me. I hated it for years and years and years and years. But because they'd gone, like, they couldn't afford it, but because they'd kind of
Yeah.
invested, they thought I'd changed my mind. I realized the other day, I've had this for 3 years now. I've practiced every day because it's an earworm and I just get it out my brain. And I
Yeah.
thought, wow, it's getting easier. I can't remember how to sight read, even though I did many years of formal
Yeah.
lessons. But sorry, I just identified with what you're
No, but
doing.
this is a perfect example of
Yeah,
actually you can do it, but you
yeah,
have to do it your way. So I played the piano and then
yeah,
I played the cello. I think the
yeah,
cello was, to this day, I love that instrument so much because it is so melancholy and
yeah,
sad, but it is not my personality. That was the wrong instrument, but
yeah,
piano, and I wouldn't cut my fingernails, my poor teacher. But the piano,
yeah,
had my parents gotten me to a teacher that was either teaching jazz or
yeah,
pop or, and
yeah,
like you said, maybe by ear,
yeah.
just something different than
Playing.
this showing up and it's not fun and it just
Yeah,
feels like work.
yeah.
Probably would have loved it. But the flip side to that, and I want to ask you this, Eve, aren't you so appreciative though of the fact that you actually did practice, you did learn piano?
I didn't though. I mean, I did.
Oh,
I cannot sight read. It's that I
mhm.
hated it so much. I did years, I must have done up to grade 4, piano and violin. I
Uh-huh.
cannot sight read now. It's like I've blocked it out. And I just hated it so much. I had to kind of just let myself play. And I think I'm really proud of myself. Sorry, Maeve, creating
Oh,
chaos.
that's okay.
But yeah, I'm not glad. I wish I'd spoken up for myself. I
But you
wish I'd
didn't
just said,
know,
I
right?
know, I know. And my poor parents, they were doing their best. They
Mm.
thought it was something. But with you, with the singing, do you sing now? Like, because that
You
can be
know,
really
I
sweet.
did for a
Yeah,
while, and my daughter is a jazz singer.
yeah,
She's actually in her last year of law school.
yeah,
She's going to be an entertainment lawyer because she loves music so much. And
yeah,
I see how much she loves music. And I basically retired once I heard her sing because she's so good. I was like, okay, no, I may think this is fun and dabble
yeah,
in it, but I'm going to use my voice for
yeah.
other things, right? Like podcasting.
Yeah. But also, like I was told I had GAD like as a teenager. I wasn't told what anxiety was, and back then there wasn't so much known about it. But
Yeah.
singing is a wonderful way to naturally use your
Yes.
voice and the exhalation and soothe the whole system.
Yes.
But yeah, I am so grateful. We're going to talk in the circle a little bit about you shared in one of your podcast episodes about your son, and after a few months of medication, he didn't need it anymore because he'd figured out. So thank you for joining me for that. Thank you so, so much for joining me for this. And you want to say again where people can find you?
Go to my brand new app. It's called A hyphen OK Mind. So AOK Mind. And you can find it in the App Store and also on Google Play.
Thank you for listening or watching the Feel Better Everyday podcast. This episode, like all of them, was produced by me, your host, Eve Menaze Cunningham. You can find full transcripts, links, and more information in the show notes, and also at selfcarecoaching.net, as well as more information about the book, 365 Ways to Feel Better, Self-Care Ideas for Embodied Wellbeing. And if you're interested in those deeper dives, joining the Soul to Soul Circle, as well as lots of other free resources and information about other offerings. If this episode was helpful, please leave a 5-star review. In a world in which so much is coming up for healing and so many people are feeling unsafe, I want to do whatever I can to help as many people as possible heal from trauma, helping create a world in which everyone is safe, welcome, and loved, physiologically, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally able to thrive. So, your subscribing or liking or sharing feedback and other support helps me help as many people of all genders with trauma histories and ADHD. And your learning to take better care of yourself isn't just good for you, it creates a ripple effect helping others heal too. So keep looking after yourself, do what feels good, let yourself honour your nervous system, let yourself honour your charge, your life force, and Mila Buikas, 1,000 thank yous.